Mr. Glenn here from Clever Maths, some National 5 Maths practice from Mr. Rennie, Essential Skills National 5 Mathematics Practice Exam, Paper 1. 40 marks, goes through every topic as much as we can, and then there's a Paper 2 to come with that, so thanks to Mr. Rennie for that. Just a reminder that if you want some extra help, lastminute.com, then we have on Tuesday the 13th of May at 8 p.m, the night before the exam, a YouTube members only. You have to join the YouTube members channel to get access to that for only £4.99. Sponsored by Lecky, the educational publisher for Scotland. Today we're going to look at practice workbooks for National 5 and Higher Maths. These are just £5.59 when you use the discount code CleverMaths at leckyscotland.co.uk, and these are excellent because they have lots of questions topic by topic by topic. So as you're working through the year, you can revise and practice any topic you want and make sure you are comfortable with that topic. But also when it gets towards exam season, a practice exam paper right at the end to make sure you're ready for your exams. Just £5.59 when you use the discount code CleverMaths. The links are in the description and down below. Okay, question 1 in this National 5 Maths 2025 exam paper, practice. Simplify 3/8, 2/5 plus 1 and a third. So there's two ways to do this. You could expand the bracket or you could add the fractions inside first. I think if you've got just numbers inside the bracket, you add them. You only expand if it's algebra. So I'm going to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and do 2/5 plus 1 and a third. Well, I need to change that into 4/3. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So that gives me 4/3. To add fractions, I make a common denominator, so I can times them to make 15. And then I do 2 times 3 is 6, plus 5 times 4 is 20, to get 26 out of 15. Now that's not simplifiable, so I'll move on to the next stage. I've still got 3/8, and inside this bracket I've got like 26 over 15. So that means the same as 3/8 times 26 out of 15. And now I can do some simplification, because what I can do is I can say, well, 3 goes into 3 one time, and it goes into 15 5 times. It just makes my life easier. Similarly, 2 goes into 26 13 times, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So my sum is vastly simplified now, and I can just do 1 times 13 on the top to get 13, and 4 times 5 on the bottom to get 20, and we're done there. That's the 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1, Question 2. Simplify 3x, 2x plus 3 over plus x minus 5 all squared. I always use boxes to expand brackets. So I've got 3x box, and then 2x plus 3 on one side. Plus, now it says x minus 5 squared, so that's the same on either side. X minus 5, x minus 5. Split that into 4, and then that one's just split in 2 because there's only 1 on the other side. Now I can expand. I'll use a different colour so it's very clear. 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x squared. 3 times 3 is 9 plus x, so 9x. And then we've got x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x with a minus. 5 times x is 5x with a minus. And 5 times 5 is 25, but make sure you get your sign right. Minus times a minus is a plus. So now you should be able to see, if I zoom in a little bit, that I've got a 6x squared that goes with an x squared, so that's easy, that's 7x squared. I've got 9x, then minus 5x minus 5x, so let's do a little sum. Minus 5 is minus 10, so I've got 9 minus 10, which is minus 1, so minus x. And then I've got the plus 25 just hanging out, and there's my completed simplification. So we're done there. National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1, Question 3. Express 6 over root 8 with a rational denominator. So to rationalise the denominator means to get rid of the root on the bottom, which usually means times by the root over the root. Now you've got two ways to go here. You can simplify the square root bit first or at the end, but always check if the root is simplifiable too. I'll do it at the end. So I've got 6 over root 8, starting off just by timesing by root 8 over root 8. So that gives me 6 root 8 on the top, and root 8 times root 8 is just 8. So now I need to start my simplifying process, where I can still already see that the 6 and 8 can be simplified, dividing by 2 to give me 3 root 8 over 4. And I might be finished here, but I might not. You see, if I look at this root 8, can I find two numbers at times together to make it 8? One's a square number. Well, yes, I can. 4 and 2. So root 4, root 2. And that gives me 2, because the root 4 is 2, root 2. So now this turns into 3, the root 8 gets replaced by times 2 root 2 over 4. Working that out, 3 times 2 is 6 root 2 over 4. And now I can actually simplify the 6 and 4 again by dividing by 2 to get 3 root 2 over 2. And we're done there. Do not be tempted to simplify a root with a number outside. You can't do root 2 divided by 2 somehow. It doesn't work. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 4. The graph of y equals a sine x plus b is shown. Find the values of a and b. Well, a is quite easy. If I look at how high it goes up to 3, and just check that it goes also down to minus 3. If these two numbers are the same, then it's just the same number, a equals 3. Now, if they're different, you have to do a little bit of work out the difference between the two numbers, and then divide by 2. B is a little bit trickier. So this is not one of these where there's multiple of them, because the b is stuck inside this bracket. So that's a shift to the right or a shift to the left. The easiest way to do this is to draw the basic graph and see which point has moved, one of the points. So I'm looking at a sine graph here. So if I just take a quick sketch and go, right, I've got sine graph goes here and it goes 0. Let's look at 180, 360. We've obviously also got 90 and 270, but that's all we really need. So this one cuts the graph here at 130, but I usually cut at 180. So it's a shift to the left by, well, that's 50 degrees. Now a left shift means that it's plus a positive number, positive 50. A right shift means it's negative. So B is just positive 50. And we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 5. Express 3 over x minus 2 over x squared as a fraction in its simplest form. This is an algebraic fraction question, but not probably one that you see often. Usually it's going to be a bracket and a bracket on the bottom, and you times them together. This one's a little bit different. Well, there's two ways to do it. I'll show you the standard times and together method, but it's just not the most efficient for this. But let me do that first. So the standard times and together method would be 3x minus 2 over x squared. And I would say, well, times them together to make a common denominator, which is x cubed. And then that means I've got 3x squared minus 2x. Now, this is where some of you might get stuck. You're not done there, because you always need to check, is anything factorizable? Well, the top is. X is a common factor. So I take x out and get 3x minus 2 over x cubed. That means that an x can cancel and an x can cancel to leave x squared. So you get 3x minus 2 all over x squared. So that's one way to do it. But the more efficient way to do it is to realise that there's a common denominator on the bottom. So let me start it again. Well, if I would do it by common denominator, then I can change the first one into x squared just by times and by x on the top and bottom. So that leaves me 3x. And the bottom one, the second one, just says minus 2x over x squared. So now, since it's a common denominator, I can directly just say that that is 3x minus 2 over x squared. And since the top is not factorizable, I'm done there. So that's a lot quicker if you realise that. But so revert to the first method if you have to. The first method is what you would use most of the time for algebraic fractions, especially if there's brackets involved in the bottom. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 6. Change the subject of the formula v equals 3p squared q minus r to q. So let me just write this out. I've got v equals 3p squared q minus r. Well, you always need to isolate the term with the thing you've got. So you're looking for this term here to be isolated. So I'm going to have to add r to both sides. So step 1, add an r to both sides. I get v plus r equals 3p squared q. Now there's the square rooting to do here, because it's not the q that's squared or square rooted. Q is just attached by times into 3p squared. So I need to divide by 3p squared. Nice and easy. So I get v plus r over 3p squared equals q. Or if you prefer, q equals v plus r over 3p squared. And we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 7. The area of the triangle shown is 90 centimeters squared. Calculate the value of angle sine x, y, z. What's that one? Well, y is in the middle. So what's this one? As a fraction. Well, it's mentioning an angle and it's mentioning an area of a triangle. So start of the exam paper tells me that sine. So start of the exam paper tells me that the area of a triangle equals a half AB sine C. So that means that if I've got an angle here, it's the two sides that make up the angle are your A and B. So that means I've got a half times 12 times 25 times the sine of, well, we'll call it y because it is y, and that equals 90. So we're working backwards. Now this is non-calculator. So work out as much as you can on the left before you do anything else. So on the left, I could do a half of 12, which is 6 times 25 times sine y equals 90. Well, 6 times 25 is 150. So I've got 150 times the sine of the angle equals 90. And I wanted just the sine of the angle. I don't need to do inverse sine. I've not got a calculator here. So it's just sine y equals 90 over 150. So now it's just a simplification job. Sine y, which is the same as xyz. 90 over 150 is the same as 9/15, which I can simplify further. 3 3s is 9, 3 5s is 15, 3/5 is our final answer, and we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 8. A function is defined as f of x is x squared minus 1. It is known that f of p equals 15. Find the values of p. So fp means a sub p in, so I've got p squared minus 1 equals 15. Now there's two ways to solve this. Since it's just p squared, you could just make it equal to 16 and then square root, but I'm going to do it the standard way, which you should be aware of. Every time it's a squared, you want to make it equal to 0, then factorise. That should be what you're thinking most of the time, so I'm going to do it that way. So I'll take away 15 for both sides to make it equal 0. And that gives me p squared minus 16 equals 0. Well, that's a difference of two squares. There's no common factor, so it's double brackets. P and P, 4 and 4, plus 1 minus 1. So that means that the first bracket equals 0, or the next bracket equals 0. Solving both of them, P is minus 4, or P is 4. And we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 9. Simplify 2x to the half times 6x cubed over 3x 5. Okay. So this is our indices one, and with the leave your answers of positive power. So rules of indices. Starting off with the top, we've got, well, we'll just write it out first, which I normally would to keep my head on. I need to do the top first. So I need to times the 2 and the 6, which is 12. And I've got x. I need to add these powers. So I could do 3 plus a half. Well, that's 3.5. I can't leave it as 3.5. Fractions are in indices, nothing else. Not decimals, not mixed numbers. We want fractions. So 3.5. Let's just take a note of that. We've got 3.5 at the side. Well, that equals 3 2s is 6 and 1 is 7 halves. So the power is 7 halves. And we've got over 3 still, x5. So now the other rule, divide means take away the powers. So 12 divided by 3 first is 4. You don't take away them. And I need to do 7 halves minus 5. Well, at the side we can do that. 7 halves. 5, well, 5 2s is 10. That's 10 halves. That's minus 3 halves. X to the minus 3 halves then. It says leave our answer as a positive power. Well, that's a negative power. To change a negative to a positive, all you do is write a fraction. Only the x part moves, nothing else. So the x part goes on the bottom, minus 3 halves become 3 halves, and 4 just stays where it is. Now, if there wasn't a number in front of there, I would write 1 instead. But that's our answer, and we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 10. Calculate the area of a sector AOB, taking pi is 3.14. Okay, so a non-calculator question with pi, 3.14, just work through it, don't get worried. Angle over 360 times pi, which is 3.14, times r squared for area. So my tip for you for this is, if you ever get one of these, leave the 3.14 at the end. Work out everything else first. So I'm going to work out 40 over 360 by simplifying it. So take away a 0. 4 9s is 36, so that's 1/9 times 3.14 times 12 squared, which is 144. Now, I don't really want to do a 9 for 3.14. I could, but you're better off doing a 9 for 144, and hopefully that'll go in. Most of the time in SQA, I'm not going to make it so it doesn't. So at the side, if you can't do it in your head, 144 divided by 9. 9 into 14 goes once, and there's 5 left over. And 9 times 6 is 54, so that simplifies to 16 times 3.14. Well, I can separate that out into 10 times 3.14, I suppose, and 6 times 3.14, or any way you want. Well, 10 of them is 31.4, and 6 of them, well, 6 fours is 24, carry 2, 6 ones is 6, 7, 8, I've not got the point in yet, and then 6 threes is 18. So we've got 31.4 and 18.84. Making sure I don't make a mistake, I'll just put it in a column. 4, 12, 8, 9, 10, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 50.24 centimetres squared, because it's area. And we're done there. 8th grade National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 11. The standard deviation of 11, 14, 15, 17, 7 and 13 is root A, calculate the value of A. There's two ways to do it, standard deviation. If you use the one where you square the x and square the x squared, this will be quite a difficult question because the numbers get quite big. If you use the other one, it'll actually be quite easy. So I'm only going to show you the other one. I would advise that you learn that one because it's the easiest one to work with in my opinion, but your teacher might have showed you another way, but a second way. And if you have done, it just means if you get a question like this in the non-calculator exam and the numbers are quite big, you've got quite big numbers to square. So my method is using the start of the exam paper. It's always the sum of x minus x bar squared over n minus 1. And you set up a little table. Most teachers teach this method, to be fair. x minus x minus x bar all squared. I like my numbers. 11, 14, 15, 7 and 13. Work out my x bar, usually at the bottom for most teachers. So my x bar equals, add all these numbers up first. So I've got 20, 35, 49, 50, 60 over 5 numbers. That's 12. So my mean is 12. So take away from 12, 11 minus 12 is minus 1, 14 minus 12 is 2, 15 minus 12 is 3, 7 minus 12 is minus 5, and 13 minus 12 is 1. Square each of the numbers now. 1 squared is 1, 2 twos is 4, 3 threes is 9, 5 fives is 25, and 1 ones is 1. Add my numbers. 25, 35, 40. So my total is 40, which means my standard deviation is simply the square root of 40 over 1 less numbers than I started with. It's 5 numbers, so it's 4. That just gives you root 10. That's it. So it does say calculate the value of A, so to be very clear, A equals 10. Now, in the past, when you get a non-calculator one of these, often that will be a surd that you can then simplify. So be aware of that. If it says the question something like 2A root B, it's looking for you to simplify this, but this is non-simplifiable. 8th grade National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 12. Two vectors are given by u, 1 minus 3, 2, and 2u plus v is 4 minus 2 minus 1. Find v. Okay, so if I've got 2u plus v and I've got u, if I take 2u away from that, if I'd started with 2u plus v and took away 2u, that would give me v then. So that's what I need to work out first. So I've got 2u plus v, 4 minus 2 minus 1, minus, and I want 2u. So double in each of the numbers in u, that's 2, minus 6, and 4. Well, 4 minus 2 is 2. Minus 2, watch your signs. Minus minus makes plus 6. Minus 2 add 6 is 4. And finally, minus 1, minus 4, minus 5. 2, 4, and minus 5. And we're done there. 8th grade National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 13. In the diagram shown below, AB is a tangent at C, DE is a diameter, angle CAE is 26, which is shown in the diagram, and angle DEF is 54, which is also shown. We have to calculate FDC. See, to be frank with you, I don't care what they're asking me to calculate. I'm going to jump in and just use all the rules that I possibly know to work out as much as I can, and hopefully I'll get there in the end, because otherwise you can get confused about where you're going. So I usually just zoom in a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to zoom in unless you've got some sort of magic cyborg eyes, but you know what I mean. And I'm going to look to see what I've got. And I'm just going to work in triangles here. So first of all, I'm going to look for my right angles, because I know there's always right angles. So there's a radius, it makes a tangent at right angles. So there's a right angle there. So I know that's 90. Excellent work. And if I've got a diameter, then it makes a right angle triangle at the circumference. So in other words, that's a right angle there. So I can fill that one in. There's a couple of right angles to get me started. Now, once I start getting stuck, I'll just start filling in angles. So I'll start off with this triangle here, because I've already got two angles. So I've got 90 and 26. So that makes 6, 9, 10, 11. So I can do 180 minus 116, because I know that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So that should give you 64 degrees. So I now know 64 up here. Well, do I know anything else from knowing that? Well, we've got a straight line here, and angles on a straight line add up to 180. So 180 minus 64 again gets me back to 116. So at least I know that. Then I look a little bit stuck, so I go, well, I've already got a triangle up here, and I know two angles, so again, I can find the third. So 90 and 54, that is 444. Take away from 180. So that gives me 44, 54, 64, 74, 36. So I know that this little bit here is 36. So the biggest problem I've got is I need to get into this triangle and kind of work out two missing angles from one. If you've ever got two missing angles from one, chances are it's probably an isosceles triangle unless you've missed something. So let's just check. Is there an isosceles triangle here? Well, that's a radius. And that's a radius. They're the same, so it's an isosceles triangle. Woohoo! So that means I'll just mark that on in pen. They're the same, which means that these are the same. So I can do 180 minus 116. Taking care that I don't mess that up, I get 64. And since it's isosceles, I can just divide that by 2 to get 32. So I've now got 32 and 36. So the angle I'm looking for, can't even remember what we called it, FDC, just check F to D to C is that angle. It's 36 plus 32. That's 68 degrees. And we're done there. SQA National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1 Question 14. The diagram shows straight lines 2x minus 4y equals minus 1 and x plus y equals 7 intersecting at a point P. Establish the coordinates of point P. This might be unfamiliar to some of you. Hopefully not, but if you've got two equations with an x and a y, or two unknowns, a and b, c and d, whatever, apples and oranges, it's always simultaneous equations, right? Now, in National 5 Maths, most of the time it's about what's the price of this, the price of that, and the weight of this, the weight of that. And you make two equations. But now and again, you get a question like this, where it's actually just algebraic. So you get the straight lines equations and you solve them simultaneously. And when you do that, you get an x and a y. Now, an x and a y is always a coordinate, so you can just turn it into a coordinate. So that's what you need to do. So I'm going to write my two equations, one above the other. 2x minus 4y equals minus 1. X plus y equals 7. I'm going to make something the same, the x's of the y's, it's your choice. In this case, I'll make the x's the same because the numbers are smaller. So I'm just going to double the bottom one. So I've got 2x minus 4y equals minus 1. 2x plus 2y equals 14. And now the signs are the same on the thing I'm getting rid of, so I take away. If the signs are different on the thing I'm getting rid of, you add. So taking away them, minus 4y minus 2y is minus 6y. Minus 1 minus 14 is minus 15. So y is minus 15 over minus 6. Simplify that out then. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 3 goes into 6 twice. And a minus divided by a minus is a plus. So 5 over 2. Now I want to sub that in. So you can either sub it in as 5 over 2, or you might find it easier to think of it in terms of a decimal. So if you think it in terms of a decimal, it would be 2.5. I'm going to use as a fraction. So I've got x plus y equals 7. So x plus 5 over 2 equals 7. So x equals 7 minus 5 over 2. Well, 7 in terms of halves is 14. Minus 5 over 2, which is 9 over 2. So now to answer the question, the coordinate P is equal to the x and a y. Now, if you had used it as decimals here, no problem there, as long as it's the exact values you get, and you would use 2.5, sub it in, and you would get 4.5. So you get 4.5 and 2.5. This has been Claire Maths, and today we've done the National 5 Maths 2025 Essential Skills Paper 1. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, like, and also consider becoming a member of this channel for only £4.99 for an exclusive live stream the night before the exam. Take care, stay safe, and goodbye.